miss your daddy.
Is called bot. B-O-T. Bot is mud or mire in Hebrew. So, a bat mitzvah? Probably something like bursting out of the muck. Why they say that? Because they know Javen is the mud man. Roger Waters knows that Javen is the mud man. That's why Japheth dwells in the tents of Shem. I have to stop that song before the next one comes on, because it's not the same mood. But yeah, isn't that interesting? Let me change this to this one. Quit looking at these jokers, Yaktins, literally. So I figured out something interesting because I keep putting this off. I'll put the chat up here. Because remember I said Boshet and Belial is Behemoth and Leviathan. I'm about to blow your mind with what these very, very intelligent men who bred a skull and then defended it with kilts and many things across the world, but in one area with kilts and designs that can fool AI hundreds of years before it's created. Because Messiah is AI, the word is AI. The true AI. This replica, it's literally the I. The intelligence, the I in AI. That's why the artificial form, I jokingly call it Adolf Intelligence. And I remember calling it this years ago. I just forgot why. I remember years ago calling AI Adolf Intelligence because of the meaning of Adolf. So, what was I getting at here? Oh, so it blows my mind. That's the thing. That's why how you know it's not me. So you're either worthless or you're spreading evil. So a Boshet is like somebody who has all the physical but can't give you anything spiritual. A Belial is somebody who has none of the physical. It can give you all the spiritual, but it's evil, obviously. So a Boshet or a Bolshevik, whatever iteration of it, a Boshet is somebody who is physically worthless, but it could be either or. No, the Boshet is someone who's spiritually worthless but physically beneficial. A Beliar, is somebody who's physically worthless but linguistically, spiritually, they can say things. They have a sort of materialistic spiritual, and the Boshet has a spiritual material. And the Behemoth is literally Baphomet also. So let me just show you this. Behemoth is the house of Ham of death. So it's using Hamites, both black and white and brown, as soldiers in wars, as literal human shields. All nations have done this. Putin has tried to muster African soldiers. Mussolini had African soldiers. A lot of people had African soldiers. Look up Africanus. It's just a white Hamite mixed with some other people. But yeah, Egyptians are white Hamites. The pharaohs are white Hamites. So we get Putin is brother of Egypt. Shouldn't they be dark? These people confuse you with colors. So Bahamut. So it's using Hamites as human, like just throwing walls at people, using them as walls of flesh. America uses white Hamites. In Africa, it's the dark Hamites. It's still Behemoth. It's America. But they want to wed Behemoth with Leviathan to make even stronger covenant. Leviathan, that's literally like the European Union or any of these types of unions that go like a Leviathan, like a serpent. There's the twisting serpent, and there's the fleeing serpent. Different iterations of it. But I figured something out. I'm like, oh, Levi, which is a Hebrew word for being in covenant with, and an Athan, which is law. So it's like taking all the law of Scripture, but none of the Spirit. Athan, what does that sound like? Oh, Athens. Athaliah, Queen Athaliah. Dathan, right? Was Dathan somebody? I think Dathan was part of some rebellion. Achan. His name sounded like the word for troubler. So Athens, literally, Levi Athens. Behemoth, Balkans, Bahamas, Bahrain. Then again with the Levi Aten, Attila, the Hun. Like I said, Attaliah. Literally, Attila might have been named after Attaliah. He might have been descendants of Attaliah that went up north mixing with Pharaoh's children again. You have to understand, it's all hidden here. So Levi Athan, there's either Boshet or Belial. I'll narrow it down at some point and get a better perception. But Behemoth, so literally Bertaria. Levi Athan is relying on a set of elders, like Orthodox. If we could just merge the two opposites into one, where we go when we go all, Q, 17th letter, FBI, the numbers that correspond to the letters FBI, when added together, come out to 17, and it is the letter Q. So FBI does equal Q. So you can either go to Behemoth Taria or you can join the Leviathan. It's like, how about none of that? What happens? They send the wall of flesh to you, the wall of bears to you, or they try to cut off your ability to talk to intellectual people or successful people. It's not going to work, though, ultimately, for someone whose will is stronger than it, only because they align it, the will of Elohim, El Elyon, so that their heart is kept. Their heart can beat faster than any nuclear fission that they can imagine and not break, because Yehovah Elohim is the strength, the Ebenezer, the strength of my heart. That's being, actually, is the literal being. So it's all your spirit and every part of your blood to every capillary. Oh, look at that. It just confirms again what I just said. So I'll need Behemoth or Leviathan. So let's see here. And it's like, why do they all have black and white beards? What is the black and white beard? I said it's Japheth dwelling within the tents of Shem. They end up because they don't because Japheth doesn't trust. There's always a split. The husband and the wife are always having problems. Children literally come out with black and white beards when they get older. Black and white on their hair. The Shem is fighting the Japheth. The Japheth is fighting the Shem. The Shem's trying to be like, come down, my brother. So, this behemoth is Mr. Incredible. Split into two. Mr. Incredible and is the good behemoth, supposed to be the body of Messiah. Syndrome is the bad one. It's a behemoth of psychopaths. Isn't that interesting? That's what Bertaria is. Benevolent psychopaths. Don't forget they're benevolent psychopaths. They'll pray for you before they take your liver. So Bethlehem, you see how I don't have to say that. You can hear it. You can see what the wordplay is there. Bethlehem is literally a wordplay with behemoth. It's Mr. Incredible is Bethlehem. Behemoth is Syndrome. Leviathan is DevTech. In the second movie, Devi means words, so literally word tech. False Messiah, because Messiah was a tecton. Can't make this up. It's like, oh, we gotta put all these like writers in the tribunals. Who are the writers? Are they good or bad? I don't know. There's something really interesting in their movies. Definitely wouldn't want to judge them too fastly now, especially China wants to get rid of them. Anyway, they bought up Hollywood to get rid of making too good of movies. That's why movies have lost their value. So BLM could be used that way. Bureau of Land Management, you can use the white Hamites to do it. And BLM, Black Lives Matter, you can use the dark-skinned Hamites to do it. They're both the same genetically. Literally. The founders make big money, just like Hamas. Leaders of Hamas are billionaires. The Amalekites and the leaders of Israel, Hittites, are also billionaires. And they both order Semitic people to terminate other Semitic people. You tell that to Semitic people and they think about it and they really think about it, then they can't ignore it. Their skulls don't allow them to. That's why they can develop mental disorders. I literally see some of them. They walk around. Where you get that shake from? No, it's not happening. No. I didn't send my child to the war to sacrifice himself to Baal. No, I did it. No. No, I'm not serving Satan. I'm serving the greatest country in the world. It's the land of the free, home of the brave. No. My children weren't sacrificed. They were noble. That badge, they put criminals. They put criminals behind bars. That's what they did. They didn't sell drugs. They put the drug dealers behind bars. Do you understand where these mental disorders come from? Do you understand? Do you know what's the opposite of what I just did? What they try to make fun of, even though you can have a bad version of it, is when some people are praying and they go back and forth. That's nodding. Yes, it is happening. Yes, all this stuff does happen. Sometimes I have to be under something that leads to destruction because I have to tell the truth and I'm accepting it. Doesn't matter if some of these people have ill will. It doesn't make the movement they're doing wrong. They have to do that. If they're doing like a Kabbalistic thing, then they have to do that so that they don't get the mental disorder of this. You understand? I've had people do that. I've said things to them, and their faces shake like that. It's like, yeah, alcohol's not letting it out, is it? It's containing it, and it won't come out. And so you start psyching. Won't leave your blood, will it? Because your ancestors died for it. And you're trying to defy what your ancestors died for. Makes your body shake. So it's literally America. North America is the behemoth. South of America, the U.S., I mean. South U.S. is the Leviathan. Because remember, the South had most of the Freemasons. And in these clips I keep showing it, they admit that they met between the Continental Divide, or whatever the hell they call it. So Leviathan is Elastigirl. At least the good version. The bad version is the hypnotist. That looks like, just like certain females in the truth community. Wears the same clothes, has the same kush eyes, because they spend all night staring into the abyss. That can be either good or bad, remember that. But I know why their eyes are darkened. So, Covenant Law Union, Freemason, South. Western Union. South shall rise again, just like a snake. Behemoth is the one that always wins because it just rolls over on everything. VE Day just rolls over all over everything. But then it learns how to control the Leviathan and then blames the snake. There's a whole fake ritual of cutting the head off the snake, and then everybody worships the behemoth, worships the beast who can fight against it. You're watching channel D. Look up that Kirby episode. Oh, Kirby right back at you. Right back at ya. He's the star of the show. So, what happens when you put a behemoth, Bahamut, and you mix it with a Leviathan? Oh. There goes Tokyo. Godzilla. Tolling bell of death from the rolling over of Behemoth. Splitting the spoil from the Levi, the covenant. What you see is just illusions. They give us the problems and they offer the solution. Nothing but cattle to them. They treat us like subhuman. Anyway. So yes. What happens when you mix Dragon, Leviathan, or Behemoth? Interesting enough, the dragon is actually Behemoth. And the maritime beast that you have to make covenants, Leviathan, with. Covenants on the sea, Leviathan is on the sea. What happens when you merge them together? Oh no, they just bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the two largest Christian churches, I think, in the entire East Asia at the time. Not the whole East, but Asia, pretty sure. At least in Japan, but I think I read something that said it was like all of Asia. And it's two of them, isn't it? It's almost like a behemoth and a Leviathan, but like a good one. Then they got rid of those, and all the witchcraft came out, and the Japanese gave us all kinds of ghostly technology. It's worded in a book I read once where it said it, our ghostly surround sound system, or our wizardly like surround sound, and then our smooth compact cars came from Japan. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. Gee, Mr. Hittite, where did you get the idea for the swastika? Well, a Freemason or any of these practitioners always looks to the east. Look east and you'll find the swastika. This is insane. Anyway, let's continue with The Musings of a Madman, read to you by the musings of a other madman. It just depends on your perception of who is that one that actually loves you. Is it the madman that is reading, or the words that the man is reading? Is that the madman? That's what they used to call prophets and all kinds of people. They used to call them madmen. Okay. Such a person. So somebody who does all those things like the speech in Incredibles with the little short boss. Somebody goes along with that whole cogs thing and doesn't care about the guy getting mugged outside as long as his company can make money off of it or not lose money off of it. He's calling him into his office because he's secretly giving them all the information to go against everything in court. It's like, oh, you're not doing the cog thing. You're giving everybody the solution. You're not supposed to do that. It's like, yes, according to scripture, I am. Like, oh, they always want to terminate people who go along with scripture, don't they? Why? Because they want to give everybody the key. Because nobody wanted to give them keys. So once they're given it, they're like, oh, this is cool, and anybody can have it. It's like, does anybody want a piece of this? This is awesome. And I'm like, no, I don't like that thing. It's evil or it's magic. Or it's like, what? No, it's not. Anybody can do it. You don't need a hat. How's it magic? You don't need a hat. Yes, it does magic. You're Kabbalah. It's like, that's cute. That's cute. So freaking cute. So people who go along with the whole cog thing and become basically just slaves to Pharaoh. Such a person, says Mr. Hittite, from some kind of experience, right? Such a person never succeeds in turning his knowledge to practical account, even when the opportune moment arrives. I've seen this so many times. For his mental equipment is not ordered with a view to meeting the demands of everyday life. His knowledge is stored in his brain as a literal transcript of the books he has read and the order of succession in which he has read them. And if fate should one day call upon him to use some of his book knowledge for certain practical ends in life, that very call will have to name the book and give the number of the page, for the poor noodle himself would never be able to find the spot where he gathered the information now called for. Called him a noodle. But if the page is not mentioned at the critical moment, the widely read intellectual will find himself in a state of hopeless embarrassment. In a high state of agitation, he searches for analogous cases and it is almost a dead certainty that he will finally deliver the wrong prescription. This is literally a snake poem, like this whole entire book. And somebody just knows the snake poem by heart, don't they? And they tell it to their audience, just like Hitler. His name is Trump. What did I say was Trump again earlier? Oh, Lady and the Tramp is literally Lady and the Trump. I'm not kidding. Tarampe. It's literally the story of his grandma. His grandma used to be, last name used to be Christ. It was replaced with Trump, Tramp. The help of the Italians playing their music in the background. So wild. All these things are so interdimensional, multidimensional. It's ridiculous. All right, if that is not a correct description, he says, then how can we explain the political achievements of our parliamentary heroes who hold the highest positions in the government of the country? He's just doing Machiavellian again, but way more refined, because iron sharpens iron and one man sharpens the face of the other. This man just decided to do what Machiavelli did, and he's becoming a pharaoh, though. Do you understand? He's playing the Yu-Gi-Oh game. You lose the moment you start playing the card game. It's witchcraft. Don't play it. It's based off of something that's spiritual. Do you understand? You're playing a counterfeit version that just represents it. The more you play it, and if they see that you're high up in it, they would want to bring you into a duel in real life, which is through the screens in this show. Debate me. Debate me. Otherwise, we should have to attribute the doings of such political leaders not to pathological conditions, but simply to malice and chicanery. It's a little bit of both. That's the thing. That's the improbability they constantly fight against. It's the infinite. They're fighting against the infinite in a virtually infinite physical version called random probability. What is it called? Improbability. Complexity theory. Chaos theory. There's always a factor they can't factor. On the other hand, one who has cultivated the art of reading will instantly discern. In a book or journal or pamphlet, what ought to be remembered because it meets one's personal needs or is of value as general knowledge. In the scripture, all of that is for everybody equally. So that's why he says, come to me all who thirst. It's free. It's always been free. Some people might try to sell it to you, but if you really try hard enough, you can get it for free somewhere else. What he thus learns is incorporated in his mental analog of this or that problem or thing, further correcting the mental picture or enlarging it so that it becomes more exact and precise. Should some practical problem suddenly demand examination or solution, memory will immediately select the opportune information from the mass that has been acquired through the years of reading and will place this information at the service of one's powers of judgment so as to get a new and clearer view of the problem in question or produce a definitive solution. That, again, Mr. Hittite, is only half of it. Some people can be totally capable of what he's describing. He's totally capable of what he's describing. But what happens when the unaccounted for, the can't possibly account for it, variable? Then all of a sudden, Mr. Hittite's shaking in his boots. He can't make decisions. He probably did actually terminate himself. Can't make decisions. He starts short-circuiting. He's like, wait, the Americans are coming? Why? Did I do something wrong? They could have took him to Argentina. I don't know. Anything could have happened. Doesn't really matter. But what he's describing is still only half of it. Bet you that's why he didn't grow out his beard and everything and only kept the mustache. Because then they'd see the black and white in his beard, wouldn't they? Oh, he liked the hairdo. He liked promoting the hairdo of the shaved sides and keeping the top. Oh, what gets white first with these guys? Sides. And he's leading a bunch of... What is the Golden Horde going after physically? The Golden Horde, physically. People who literally physically look like the Golden Horde. What are they going after spiritually? People who spiritually project the Golden Horde, which would be Messiah's kingdom. They call themselves the Golden Horde, but they're cons. Literally, you can't extract it from the language. It's been sown. Okay, let's continue here. Only thus can reading have any meaning or be worthwhile. The speaker, for example, who has not the sources of information ready to hand which are necessary to a proper treatment of his subject, is unable to defend his opinions against an opponent. Not true. It's only half the time. You can never account for the unaccountable variable. Even though those opinions be perfectly sound and true, that doesn't matter. People who know it's true will know it's true. You can't do anything against truth, only for it. He'll only give you half. Because I guarantee you, if he grows his beard and his hair out, you see the half and half. You see the Oreo cookie come out, don't you? Why are Oreo cookies made? Why are they Nabisco? Why they have the mark of like Orthodox crosses? Anyway, in every true discussion, his memory will leave him shamefully in the lurch. He cannot summon up arguments to support his statements or to refute his opponent, so long as the speaker. So you know what the ultimate weapon is then? Showing it through nature. There's certain people with white and black beards and hair that say you can't get truth from nature. Anyway, so long as the speaker has only to defend himself on his own personal account, the situation is not serious. But the evil comes when chance, what I just said, places at the head of public affairs such a distant know-it-all who in reality knows nothing. He's describing himself. He's about to do that because he's going to allow them to put the symbiote in their head. And I learned this, their catechism or whatever the heck they call it. Their liturgy, they're like, oh, just go to liturgy and you'll find out. It's like, no, I don't want the symbiote put in. Seriously, just go to liturgy. It's like, no. Just go to the spirit world. Just go to liturgy. Take your catechism. Go to the spirit world. It's funny. It's funny. But anyway, soy, SOI, soy descent, know it all. It's funny. From early youth, I endeavored to read books in the right way, and I was fortunate in having a good memory and intelligence to assist me. From that point of my view, my sojourn in Vienna was particularly useful and profitable. Remember, all of this is in the context of him learning and studying in Vienna, and I already told you what Vienna is. It's Bahamut, because it's literally penis and vagina, if I have to say it that clearly. My experiences, it's the Ankh. That's why the power ended up going through the Germanics, the Franks, the Germans into Frankish, Gaul, France. Why do you think Kaiser genocided the Gauls? Why do you think people say, you have the gall to tell me? It's like, oh, now I know why the Gauls were genocided. Because they had the gall to say that Kaiser had no clothes. He's a naked old fool. A naked old indebted, enslaved, condemned son of perdition. And he said, oh, yeah. Well, I have a sword. I have these rocket boots. My experiences of everyday life there were a constant stimulus to study the most diverse problems from new angles. As much as I was in a position to put theory to the test of reality and reality to the test of theory, I was safe from the danger of pedantic theorizing on the one hand, and on the other, from being too impressed by the superficial aspects of reality. Oh, eventually you'll probably think that you can't get truth from nature. So he's finding a way to compartmentalize himself. Remember the black and white, the more you mix it, it ends up becoming gray. That's why they say 50 Shades of Gray. They're just talking about mentalities and fusing them until they're a gray color and don't seem harmful. That's compartmentalization. That's raw mesis. That is the eclipse. That is the totality in eclipse. That's why the Nephilim are half eclipsed. That's just solving my dream of the 6 sons. 3 were eclipsed because they have Nephilim blood. And I know which ones they are. Two of them lost both their shoulders. Got replacements from Pharaoh. So, black and white is what the Nephilim allegedly wore. These Rephaim, actually. They're Rephaim. That's where you get Remphanites. That's where you get Sixers. That's why there were 6 sons and 3 of them were eclipsed. Because 3 of them have Nephilim blood. And I know who they are. I know who the other 3 are, too. Yes. Yes, there's 3 of them that have a black and white beard. There's 3 that were free from Mod. All 3 of those came down. They were Soviets. The ones eclipsed had the black and white in their phenotype. I already posted the picture of the Romanov book, its cover. I see you. You don't see me. I see you. Do you understand? You see me. You don't know where I come from or where I'm going. I see you. I know exactly where you come from. And I can know the 2 different paths you can go on. Which means you can't trick me. So, put it in Roman numerals so a Romanov can read it. It is impossible to say when I might have started to make a thorough study of the doctrine and characteristics of Marxism, were it not for the fact that I then literally ran head foremost into the problem. Oh, so running headfirst into the problem makes you a fascist. Circling it like a cop from the outside, slowly getting more influence is Marxism. Okay, there you go. Both the same. One's a woman, one's a man. One penetrates, one receives. Or actually encloses. Like a mother, a city of death. Mother loves a baby. Daddy loves you too. What I knew of social democracy, democratic socialist, he was Bernie Sanders for a while. Just give me a few minutes of your time. I just need 30 cents. You can find it under your couch. Don't lie to me. Just take it and put it in an envelope or something. Get off your butt or I can't help you. Ah. The fact that it led the struggle for universal suffrage, and the secret ballot gave me an inner satisfaction. For my reason then told me, and a spirit from within speaks, says the chirper Zophar, the Namathite. Oh, he looks pleasant, but he's a chirper, isn't he? He chirps and mutters like when he doesn't get his way, he's Romanelfen. For my reason then told me that this would weaken the Habsburg regime, getting revenge on his family members, who just beat him. I bet you Hitler was more darker, younger, and they just teased him so much that he sheltered himself until he became whiter. Because they do this. Who likes to go out in the sun? Who doesn't like to go out in the sun? Let's see. Oh, Hitler, where's Pulaski? My teacher, my... What is it? My studies requires a Polish boy's desk as well. Little Hitler, he's such a scamp. Alright, the fact that it led to this... Let me see. Habsburg regime, get revenge on Hammond and the people who created Jurassic Park. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Which I so thoroughly detested. I was convinced they make you detest it, and then it's like you become it. That's fine. The ultimate hypocrite. Hypocrisy is lawlessness. Who will be the lawless one? It'll be another one of these children. That's why they don't like to execute them. They just sent them to other countries and restart the Oblivion Tom Cruise movie. Quite literally. I was convinced that even if I should sacrifice the German element of the Danubian state, Nubian state could not continue to exist, even at the price of a long and slow Slavization. Maybe they end up taking the word slave out of there. Why? Because these people were probably so long mentally slaves of Messiah and good people just trying to get along. You look at a lot of Slavic people, they're very hardworking people and they're very religious. And they're very right. Doesn't mean that they will have salvation. It just means they do. God can choose them because they do certain things already. They just need the spirit, the faith. Fatalism? Fate? Fayette? Fane? Fan the flames. Penna. Face, pen. It all comes back, doesn't it? Full circle. Cop. Okay. Even at the price of a long and slow Slavization of the Austrian Germans, the state would secure no guarantee of a real durable empire because it was very questionable if and how far the Slavs possessed the necessary capacity for constructive politics. You see how what he's doing here can be disassembled using kilts. Oh, I don't care about German blood, Austrian blood, English blood, British, Frankish, Saxon. I care about covenants that are made. So I make kilts that can fool something that doesn't even exist yet, called AI. That's how you fight Hitler and Trump. You literally make a state within a state, no matter where you're at. That's what these kilts and clans represent, and many nations have done stuff like this. It just seems like the Scots are really, really, really good at it. That's why their highest blood that they praise is from Scotland. But they're Soviets of Scotland, that's the thing. Hillary is a Soviet of Scotland. Trump is a Soviet of Scotland, not an actual Scot. Look at me golf. I'm such a Scottish man. I'm scotting all over the place. Oh, look at it. Listen to that bagpipe. It brings me back to those old days. Am I right? My kilt wearing brethren, my sweet little Christians, just vote for me once and you'll have to vote ever again because I'm going to serve you to the Chinese on a platter like John the Baptist's head because a pretty little girl danced for me called AI and told me she'd give me the world. Therefore, says Mr. Hittite, therefore I welcomed every 44 minute Hittite welcomed every moment that might lead towards the final disruption of that impossible state which had decreed that it would stamp out the German character in 10 millions of people. Do you understand? It's a mentality. These people have been Soviets. This Austria-Hungarian thing has been Soviets to the Germanic people for so long, they think they're their father. It's literally Darth Vader. Um, and there's an Amazon. If you have Amazon Prime to order stuff, get the Amazon thing for the TV and watch this show called The Feed. It's free on Amazon if you have the Prime. It tells you the guy who runs the whole thing is a super pharaonic dude. He's the guy who plays the false king in the movie Dragonheart. And he plays characters in other movies too, but the false king in Dragonheart that takes half of the dragon's heart, he plays the head dude in this thing. It explains everything. It's insane. But there might be some crude things in there. There's crude language, and I might have fast forwarded something and forgot that it was there, so I'm not liable to anything you see that you didn't want to see. People don't want to see the truth, so I'm not liable for that either. If you're here and you're listening to it, it's not my fault. All right. He continues. The more this babble of tongues wrought discord and disruption, even in the parliament, the nearer the hour approached for the dissolution of this Babylonian empire, that would mean the liberation of my German Austrian people, and only then would it become possible for them to be reunited to the motherland. This is Nimrod. This is Cush. This is Gilgamesh. Gilgamush. Gilgal. Musha. Accordingly, I had no feelings of antipathy towards the actual policy of the Social Democrats. That is avowed purpose was to raise the level of the working classes. So he would have voted for Bernie or Obama, regardless of their skin color or their supposed heritage, which they're Soviets. Bernie Sanders is a Soviet. Which, in my ignorance, I then foolishly believed was a further reason why I should speak in favor of social democracy rather than against it. Oh, here's my excuse. Oh, I'm a social democrat, but then 4 years later, I'm in a Nazi torch lighting ceremony being a Trump supporter. It's like, okay. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 6 million times. Good Lord God, have mercy on us all. But the features that contributed most to estrange me from the social democratic movement was its hostile attitude towards the struggle for the conservation of Germanism in Austria. Germanism, Marxism, all these isms from a bunch of what would you call them? Isms that come from a bunch of odics. A bunch of codics make these isms. Okay, but the features that contributed most to estrange me from the social democratic movement, he's herding once again to another paddock, was its hostile attitude towards the struggle for the conservation of Germanism in Austria. He's telling you exactly how the right and left work, and he's going to merge you into a Luciferian government. They just do it every single time. Even when Trump and Biden go against each other, it's a blue and a red side, and they meet in the middle. That's how they do it. I don't know how long they've been doing it that way. A lot of times they have them rising, but this time it's going inward to Sheol, both sides, until they merge the opposite and open the portal of death. Literally in Revelation, it says a portal of death will be opened and creatures will fly out of it. But oh, I'm just crazy, right? It's crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. Where is it? Observation. It's lamentable coquetting, if that's how you pronounce that, with the Slav comrades who received these approaches favorably as long as any practical advantages were forthcoming, but otherwise maintained a haughty reserve, thus giving the important medicants of the sort of answer their behavior deserved. He's just giving you the Wall album. That why do you think Roger Waters bases the Wall album off of the Third Reich? Because Hitler is the Wall album. Hitler's book is the Wall album extrapolated into a theology and a political ideology. So what Roger Waters warns about in the Wall is greatly exhausted in Mein Kampf, but you see how Roger Waters can even eventually lead you to the beast? Because he may warn you because he feels wronged, but he's still going to have weird Eastern philosophies. That's why he's a millionaire. That's why they let him make money. I'd rather give this whether I have money or not. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. And so at the end of 17, the word Marxism was very little known to me while I looked on social democracy and socialism as synonymous expressions. It was only as the result of a sudden blow from the rough hand of fate, he says, that my eyes were open to the nature of this unparalleled system for duping the public. He's going through various things Solomon writes in Ecclesiastes. But then he gets corrupted. Why? Through lust of women. He doesn't own Germany, but he's going to lust after her, isn't he? This is so perfectly displayed in the newer Mario movie, where it has Bowser playing the song, singing about Peach. It's funny, I actually got bored one day and learned that song in German just because I had an idea of Hitler playing the piano and singing about Germany. But he's lusting after her, so it's not real. And so I learned it in German because it's such a catchy song. Why? Because it's such a truth that's resonating. And they're like, why am I resonating with this song that Bowser is singing? And it's Jack Black singing it. I think he has a black and white beard. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. He might not. But I think he has like sometimes they have white eyebrows and black hair, or they'll have uh black eyebrows and white hair. Various things like that. Um that's why I can tell like if somebody has that, I know that they're either a Freemason or they have family members that are. Doesn't make them my enemy, it's just I just know where they came from. Hitherto, my acquaintance with the Social Democratic Party, they were always a Democrat first, right? And then they turned into the grand old party of Republicanism, the Bavarian Illuminati, was only that of a mere spectator at some of their mass meetings. I had not the slightest idea of the Social Democratic teaching or the mentality of its partisans. All of a sudden, I was brought face to face with the products of their teaching and what they called their Weltanschauung. Weltanschauung. The Weltan Road Initiative? Belton Road Initiative? That's interesting. Weltanschauung. Reminds me of Wotan, too, which is Odin, which is Osiris. But it's the evil version. It's Emotep. It turns into Emotep because he sacrificed his right eye in order to get all the knowledge. You see? There's the real one, the real Osiris that warned of that, huh? In this way, whoa, why does NASA do Osiris Rex? Because they're just doing uh rituals to represent the Antichrist. And these people who work for them get plaques working on the Osiris missions and everything, for some reason, end up being friends of family members. They somehow randomly come over and they're very, very, very nervous about how much I know. In this way, a few months sufficed for me to learn something which, under other circumstances, might have necessitated decades of study, namely that under the cloak of social virtue and love of one's neighbor, a veritable pestilence was spreading abroad. And that if this pestilence be not stamped out of the world without delay, it may eventually succeed in exterminating the human race. That happens in Revelation. Gee, what pestilence that he says is under the guise of social virtue and love of one's neighbor. This pestilence, he says, this virus, this crown pestilence, if it be not stamped out of the world without delay, it may eventually succeed in exterminating. We have to get to a solution, says Trump. Who is he quoting, really? Miss Kathy Baker. Or Carol Baker. I had the solution. Let's just get rid of all the whites in the United States. 9 years later, we have to get to a solution, says Trump. We need to do it to warp speed without delay. This pestilence. Mr. Hittite says, I first came into contact with the Social Democrats while working in the building trade. Social Democrats is a shadow word for Christians, it seems. They're social. They want everybody to be treated fairly, but they're not quite this democracy thing that they put people under. They want a democracy not through these votes and everything, but through persons' characters and who gets put into power because they just stand up more than everybody else. That's it. And they just become the leader. They're not voted. Nobody prays to these men. Whoever does, they literally have very, very capital consequences. So a social democrat, remember this word here is a straw man. There's a bunch of bad people who are going to be under that title of social democrat. They're the false church. Now the real church is hidden under that false label, and he's going to hide his hatred for Christians in that word social democrat, just like Trump with liberals or constitutionalists or whatever he says. You gotta shut down the internet or something. Maybe Bill Gates can help us. It's like, why do you trust him? Oh, because he's part of the ethnos, the one ethnos under Gad that you make your slaves pledge allegiance to, whether they're of the race or not. And then you send that race out, make them Time Magazine's Man of the Year first, let them write a book, publish it everywhere, probably with the help of Ford, who made the man's tanks. Then won a lawsuit with the U.S. after when they were bombed. Why? Because the contract didn't stipulate that. So he won the case. Why do you think he won the case? Mr. Hittite continues, from the very time that I started work, the situation was not very pleasant for me. While working in the building trade, he says, my clothes were still rather decent. I was careful of my speech, and I was reserved in manner. I was so occupied with thinking of my own present lot and future possibilities that I did not take much of an interest in my immediate surroundings. I had sought work so that I shouldn't starve, and at the same time so as to be able to make further headway with my studies. Though this headway might be slow, possibly I should not have bothered to be interested in my companions were it not that on the third or fourth day an event occurred which forced me to take a definite stand. I was ordered to join the trade union. Good morning, the one you honor. The crown will plainly show up, there's no stands before you. Was caught red-handing, showing independent thought with stimuli from the Most High. This will not do. Call the schoolmaster. Oh, man, it's so blatant, isn't it? So maybe I'll do it at 6 or 5:30 or something like that. And that'll be the 4th installment. We've had a great day. Well, I have. Hopefully you guys did. Anybody who feels fear from anything I say, they're free to just repent and not feel fear anymore. That's fine. I'll be your friend. Let's build something. Why are these people cowards? It's self-defeating for them. To the point where the Most High asks Israel in Ezekiel, he asks, why will you die? What's going on? Do you not like making money? I don't understand. It's wild. So anyway, let me start some music. Remember, on the 4th installments, at the end of a day's broadcasting, whether it's 5 parts, 6 parts, or whether it's only 1 part or 2 parts, I always play the whole Freemason clip at the end, usually now with the Mortal Kombat theme. So this part isn't that. Next part, at the end, I'll do that. I enjoy doing that. They need to be reminded. You need to be reminded, and they need to be reminded. So let me start the music here. Straight to the business.
Yo, I'm a businessman, straight to the business. Nah, I ain't gonna miss this, cause you lot taking the biscuit. So stay on the fringes, pray for the win. You fakers are making me cringe. Should've stayed in the basement. You got no place to skate on the pavement. Your head's vacant, complacent. Too green, no beef, no bacon. Complaining, we're all savages. No shit, Sherlock, can't handle this. Can't prepared, I don't mean sandwiches. Sack of shit, come with a bag of bandages. I'm unstable, bring reinforcements. Cut the cake, give me the big portion. Of course it's just rawness, grassroots, no big endorsements. So I'm chalking one up to Ollie, tits in a trolley, balls in a biscuit tin. Ain't no fool with a bling, I'm cool with a ting. Who's that? I'm a roof rag. Should I shoot back or blast and boom back? Cute rappers, you better off to move back. True that, mate, don't do that. And I'm getting too fat, but you'll wear the food at. Gunshot in the air like you don't care about wasting rounds. Why's your face in a frown? I ain't targeting no one, I'm just making the rounds. Making the most of it while you're posting links to bogus shit. My frozen fingertips are still picking bricks up and laying them in those conditions.